Good day, poker peeps. This is Sky with Smart Poker Study, coming at you with a little video that's going to help you immediately improve your blind play results. So sometimes students come to me with win rates and results like this, right? Negative 70 big blinds per 100 hands, but in particular, out of the blinds, out of the small blind, negative 108 big blinds per 100 hands. If he had folded every small blind, not played the ace 10, not played the ace queen, the jack 7, all of these, well, he'd be at negative 50. That would be roughly a $14, $15 savings or so. And out of the big blind, well, if he folded every big blind, he'd be at negative 100. But his play right now, playing ace king, ace 10, ace 9, ace deuce, all these random hands, if he had just folded every single hand, he'd be roughly the same, negative 100 big blinds, roughly the same losses. So his blind play out of both positions isn't really helping him out all that much. Now, for everybody, your current play leads to your current results. It's pretty obvious that this player, with a VPIP at 51, PFR at 16%, he's a very loose passive player. He can be aggressive sometimes, but the huge gap between the two just means he is limping in way too much pre-flop. He is calling way too much pre-flop. Let me show you something interesting. Out of the worst position, the small blind, he voluntarily enters the pot almost 60% of the time. In the best two positions, he enters 51 and 53%. He plays more out of the worst position than the best two positions right here. Let's take a look at calling. Call pre-flop 2-bet. He calls 44% out of the small blind and 49% out of the big blind. Let's take a look at what those ranges probably look like. If this was just his full range, guaranteed ace deuce is in it. Let's remove these. He's probably 3-betting those most of the time. But look at that. Calling out of the small blind 44% of the time, he's calling with a ton of crap hands that he is just super dominated. This is what makes him a fish, a loose passive fish that players target at the table. When they come in out of the big blind, out of the button, out of the cutoff with a raise, and this player is in the small blind or big blind, as long as they have a hand towards the top of their range, they know that this player is giving them that awesome mathematical advantage. They're calling from the blinds, giving them positional advantage and a range advantage. Terrible spot for this player to be in, but a great spot for all of us targeting fish like this. So, for this player and for all players, your current play yields your current results. So what this player needs to do is obviously tighten up for better results. And when he becomes profitable, takes it from negative 70 down to negative 20, down to negative 10 to 0, and then to positive 2, positive 3 big blinds per 100 hands. When he becomes profitable, that's when he can start loosening up, right? Once he learns a lot of profitable strategies for this game. So what I would recommend to this student is to call less in the blinds. Now, that's easy to say. It's kind of hard for some players to do, right? His play over the past years and months, however long he's been playing, well, that's turned into a habit of calling and VPipping way too much out of the blinds. He just defends them too often. So I have 4 different strategies, 4 things that he needs to think about to help him call less in the blinds. And to illustrate these, let's look at a few different hands. So this first hand right here, villain 30 open raises, full pot. Small blind folds. This is our hero in the hand, villain 7. He decides to call right here. Well, here's the thing. Before you call out of the blinds versus a late position or versus any non-blind raise, know that you're giving them bread and butter. His call puts villain 30 in the most profitable poker situation, a bread and butter spot. He's the pre-flop raiser in position against one other player. It's the most profitable spot to be in, and it's up against a fish. What a great spot. If we could be in this spot 100% of the time, every single hand that we play, we'd be making money in poker hand over fist. So know that you're giving them bread and butter. If he has a 5-3 offsuit, a jack 4 offsuit, a jack 5 suited, it's just not worth it at this point. And we'll go over some different hand strengths in just a little bit. But giving him bread and butter, and look what happens. Ugly flop, not many draws out there. You're up against a player who c-bets a ton as well. You check, c-bets, and then a simple fold. He just handed him an extra 2.5 big blinds for his simple raise, putting himself in that bread and butter situation, and then c-betting on the flop right there. Terrible spot to be in. I don't know what he held. He could have pocket 3s and was trying to set mine, so it could be a decent hand. But if you see some of these other hands he's been calling with, it's probably like a really wide, as we saw earlier, that 45% range. and then removing some of the best hands right there. Probably even calling all this junk too, right? And we've seen some of these offsuit hands, as you can see down here. So he's just calling way too many hands, just handing him bread and butter. Next hand, or next strategy, recite the flop situation you're going to be in. So let's take a look at this hand again, or not again. A limp, fold, fold, a raise right here, call. Now, before he makes this call, sure, 5-3 offsuit is a crappy hand, bottom 5% hand, should not be playing at all. But think about the situation you're going to be in. You've got a limper who, after you call, is probably going to call as well. So the flop situation is, hey, I'm going to be out of position against two other players with a 5-3 offsuit. This is about as far from bread and butter. This is anti bread and butter as you can get. The pot, after he calls, and he calls, the pot's going to be already 9 big blinds, almost 10 big blinds, and you have a crappy 5-3 offsuit. Money losing situation 100%. He should have saved that 2 big blinds, knew what situation he was getting into, and just avoid it entirely. Not worth playing this one. But then, flopping that gut shot, check, bet, or I'm sorry, a donk bet, and then a big, almost pot-sized raise right there. Holy cow, what does he decide to do? Oh, I've got a gut shot. Make that call. Well, this is a little bit beyond. This is post-flop talk, but if we look at the math, he needs 32% equity to make a profitable or a break-even call. Right now, with just a gut shot, he has 4 outs to hit a straight. The 4 outs only hits 8% of the time on the next street. He needs 32% to profitably continue. He is making a negative EV losing call right here. And then a call. Check, check, check. Check, check, doesn't hit anything, and of course loses. Wow, 3-4, pretty bad hand as well. But that ace-3 right there, limp, and then called, crushed his 5-3. Now, another thing this player needs to do is learn the value of starting hands. So let's check out the 6-5 offsuit hand. A raise, full pot size raise, fold, fold, and now, of course, our player is going to call. But before calling, look at that 6-5 offsuit. Let's just see what happens in Flopzilla when we enter this hand. 6-5 offsuit hits top pair or better, and open-ended straight draws or better only 18% of the time. That means that 82% of the time, the remaining 100% minus 18%, 82%, he's flopping squadouche. Middle pairs, third pairs, no pairs at all, gut shot draws, things that he doesn't want to stay in with. And then look, this is also a frequent C-better and double barreler, 1 out of 1, but capable of double barreling. So he's giving this player bread and butter, double barreler as well. He's going to be facing a really tough situation, most likely, if he does choose to call. And he does. What would be better than 6-5 offsuit would obviously be, well, let's take a look again, 18%. 6-5 suited, 26%. You're giving yourself a little bit more of an advantage here. And he needs, he needed 37% to call. We could see over here, he only has 18% chance of hitting something. Man, just a terrible spot to be in. Let's look at 6-5 offsuit. This player, let's give him a 20%, let's give him a little bit tighter. Raises 10%. Let's give him a 15% raising range. 6-5 offsuit only has 33% equity. He needs 37. 6-5 suited has 36% equity, which is almost what he needs. Such a better choice. This is a great spot to fold right now, for sure. Calls, and then a fold. Hitting that second pair, backdoor flush draw. 5.3, he decides to call, of course, because he can't fold a pair, right? We're up, or we got a fishy player on our hands here. Turning that gut shot, lovely. Large, full pot-sized bet. Man, this guy is overpaying for his super weak hand. Ooh, the king of hearts hits. He has a flush, but it is only a 6-high flush. Check, and then checks behind, and he got lucky. He went, rivered that king of hearts and up against a full set right there. He ended up winning the hand, but still he should not have been involved in the first place. This was a money-losing situation to enter. Now let's look at the last hand. It's important to remember that the blind money is no longer yours. When you put money out there, it now belongs to the pot. You shouldn't fight for it unless you have a really good reason to. So, and look, we have somebody who posted a blind right here at Villain 4. Fold, fold. Comes in for just a limp. Now, of course, our loose passive fish isn't noticing this, but this is a tight aggressive player. What do tight aggressive players limp with in early position? Right there. Almost guaranteed. He's limping with the hopes of being able to make a re-raise against somebody. Another limp, and then that player comes in for a really weird, I don't understand this at all. This isn't getting value, and it's not getting anyone to fold. There's no point in making this play. He started with 40 big blinds, absolute fish as well right here. And then, oh, well, I got a couple of limpers. If I call, they're going to call. Pot's going to be, I'm getting good price on my one big blind right here. And so he calls. But look what happens. Shebang, 22 big blinds. Obviously, when you've got hands like this and you've got mega fish in your fishing pond, you are going to raise big because you know these fools are going to be calling with way worse hands. And then a call right here. Cool. What a weird play. And then another call. He committed 20 extra big blinds with 4-3 suited. Now let's think about all of this. Know that you give them bread and butter. Yes, he's got bread and butter, at least against you as the caller. This guy's in position, super short stack. He's not even thinking about him. All of his intention is on you right now, buddy. You're giving him bread and butter. Recite the flop situation you'll be in. Well, I'm going to be out of position with 4-3 suited in a humongo 66 big blind pot, and he's probably committed at this point. I have no room to maneuver post flop, and my 4-3 suited, well, I guess I can hit a top pair or an open-ended or flush draw 22% of the time. That means the other 78% of the time I am hitting squat on this board. It's a really ugly situation to be in. Now, this is definitely not a good enough hand. I would much rather see... I don't see any hand worth making this play other than aces or kings, just has kind of weird slow play kind of thing. No suited connectors, no broadways, no suited aces are worth this play of calling 20 big blinds right there. So he should have just given up on those 20 big blinds. 4-3. Oh, he's got the backdoor flush draw plus the open ender. Things are looking up. Of course, this is what he does. He bets full pot. Now, the interesting thing is, even though he's tight aggressive, he's not really paying attention. He should have just shoved. I don't understand. He's got practically the same stack size. Shoving would have made the most sense. Why leave yourself 8 big blinds behind? And then, of course, a shove right there. He's going to call. No fold equity on his shove, by the way. And then the pocket queens hold up, right? Obviously, so his terrible pre-flop call, he went from a 98 big blind stack. From a fish like this, I can understand calling the one big blind. So he went right here from 97.4 big blinds all the way to having 2 big blinds. He lost 95 unnecessary big blinds because he stayed in a hand where he should have 100% of the time folded versus that re-raise over here. Alrighty, everybody, thank you so much for watching. I hope, especially if you have win rates out of the blinds like this player, I hope you take me up on this. Your current play has led to your current results. Tighten up, everybody. Call less out of the blinds. Follow these lovely strategies down here. Start saving yourself some money. If you can go from negative 94 to negative 40, negative 108 to negative 20, he's going to be having such big savings. Sure, he'll still be a losing player, but improving your calling strategies out of the blinds is also going to kind of work its way into his non-blind calling strategies as well. All right, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up down below and subscribe to the channel, and I'll catch you in the next one.